$5 for potatoes.
Being super depressed when we do grocery shopping in Toronto. It's so fucking expensive.
I'm at the Jays game right now, and the price for food is actually outrageous.
Specifically the food inflation, which everyone's feeling, like the 7.3. But what's bigger? I looked up beef. Last year, beef went up about 16%.
When did groceries in Canada become so extortionate?
Food inflation in the Atlantic region is a bigger problem compared to other parts of Canada.
Welcome back to Canadian Rant. If you're new here, this is where we talk about the real pressure hitting everyday Canadians, no spin, no filters, and today, we need to talk about grocery shopping in 2026, because it is officially out of hand. You walk into the store for a few things, and somehow it's $120. Eggs up, meat up, produce up, dairy up, everything up. Meanwhile, your paycheck? Basically the same. Canada's food inflation is sitting at 7.3%, one of the worst in the G7. Think about that. One of the richest countries in the world. And we're paying some of the highest food inflation among our peers. This isn't about luxury items, this is basic survival stuff. Families are cutting back, switching brands, skipping items, watching every dollar. So the question is, why is grocery shopping in Canada becoming this brutal? Let's break it down.
$5 for potatoes. I live in Canada. We grow potatoes. 4 of them, $5. They're not even big.
So, you are in Canada, and I'm speaking for Toronto especially. The raising grocery prices is ridiculous. I know the government and the CEOs of these grocery stores, they're not going to do anything about the prices. In fact, they're just going to keep going up. The only solution I see is we get only what's required. The essentials only. 80% of the stuff in a grocery store is garbage anyways. It's filled with chemicals and not good for us. Second, once the demand from our end drops, the prices will naturally go down. If products are not being sold, what are they going to do about it? They're just going to sit there. They're going to take a loss. But this has to be a collective movement. You can't just have 10% of the population doing this and then everybody else is still paying for the high prices.
Food inflation in the Atlantic region is a bigger problem compared to other parts of Canada. Halifax grocery shoppers are paying more for potatoes, ground beef, and coffee compared to Toronto and Vancouver. Retail analyst Bruce Winder says there are two main reasons for this expensive trend.
One is the added transportation costs, because pretty much everything is trucked in.
The climate in the 4 Atlantic provinces also limits local food availability.
So you have a much shorter season to grow product.
Experts say groceries could become more affordable by improving the regional supply chain and increasing the volume of locally produced food.
We have this Halifax Food Hub that's starting, and specifically for that idea of regionalizing, localizing distribution. And hopefully a hub like that starts to develop throughout Atlantic Canada.
According to people who work in the food industry, eliminating some interprovincial trade barriers in Canada could help with the cost of shipping food and make groceries more affordable in this part of the country.
That would be a very good thing because, we could do more business within our provinces.
But Winder says revamping trade barriers is no small task, which means food inflation in this region will likely not improve in the near future. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Westfall, Nova Scotia.
Hey guys, let's normalize being super depressed when we do grocery shopping in Toronto. It's so fucking expensive. I hate going grocery shopping. Yeah, I'm fat. I love to eat, but I hate going grocery shopping. Because I feel like every single time I go grocery shopping now, I'm spending more and more and more. And where's the money coming from? The bills are going higher, but our pay staying fucking insane. Toronto is insane. Toronto is insane. Horrible. Anyways, I just want to rant. Okay, bye.
When did groceries in Canada become so extortionate? For context, I live in London, England, but I'm from Toronto, and I'm here at the moment. I just went to Loblaws. I know Loblaws is expensive, but I just went to Loblaws to get a few things because it's the closest grocery store. And I bought 4 things, like juice, granola, salad dressing, a pack of bars. $36. What? $36. That would have cost me max £10 in London, which is like less than 20 bucks. What is going on? How do people feed their families? Like, this is crazy.
Canada is currently the highest among G7 countries in food inflation. Food inflation hit 7.3% in January, and it's only going to get worse under Liberal leadership. Our dollar's still very weak, and it's not going to get much better because we keep racking up debt. This entire sector is controlled by maybe 3 major companies in all of Canada, so there's no competition. We're still bringing in hundreds of thousands of people. How is that going to help? It's increasing demand, and we don't have the infrastructure to keep up with it. And Mark Carney, just like Justin Trudeau, is not going to do anything to fix these problems. And Canadians like myself that knew this was going to happen are sitting back and wondering, when are the Canadians that continue to vote for Liberals going to realize it's never going to get better under their leadership, and it's only going to get worse?
Unbelievable. On today's episode of Fucked at the Canadian Grocery Store, special fuckery edition, $370.65. When you see what $370 fucking dollars gets you, and only about $10 of this was tax, and the reason why $10 of it was tax was because I bought drinks. So there's tax on that and bottle deposit. What the fuck, man? Fuck you. Fucking Super C jacked up their prices. The cheap grocery store is no longer the cheap grocery store. Fucking fabulous. What the fuck is everybody supposed to do? Mm-hmm. $370 and $65. Fuck, they've jacked up their fucking prices. These were $17.49. $17.49 fucking cents. I got these to try at $16.99. $370. Fuck them, and fuck them out there too. Okay, groceries are put away. It's time to squash the corporations, kick their greedy fucking asses. You ready? Squash the corporations, kick them in their fucking greedy asses. This is fucking ridiculous. This is unsustainable. We gotta fucking do something about this, cause this is insane. $370 for fucking what, man? Fuck you.
Is grocery shopping and looking for a good deal.
I come here. a lot of times I'll walk into a regular grocery store and I'll just walk out again.
Fellow shopper Cheryl Martin says coming to this market, known for its affordable prices, reduces the pain she feels shopping at more expensive stores.
You can almost get double what you can at someplace like Sobeys.
These deals come at a time when food inflation in the Atlantic region is a bigger problem compared to other parts of Canada. Halifax grocery shoppers are paying more for potatoes, ground beef, and coffee compared to Toronto and Vancouver. Retail analyst Bruce Winder says there are 2 main reasons for this expensive trend.
One is the added transportation costs, because pretty much everything is trucked in.
The climate in the 4 Atlantic provinces also limits local food availability.
So you have a much shorter season to grow product.
Experts say groceries could become more affordable by improving the regional supply chain and increasing the volume of locally produced food.
We have this Halifax food hub that's starting, and specifically for that idea of regionalizing, localizing distribution. And hopefully a hub like that starts to develop throughout Atlantic Canada.
According to people who work in the food industry, eliminating some interprovincial trade barriers in Canada could help with the cost of shipping food and make groceries more affordable in this part of the country.
That would be a very good thing because, we could do more business within our provinces.
But Winder says revamping trade barriers is no small task, which means food inflation in this region will likely not improve in the near future. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Westfall, Nova Scotia.
Good news, inflation in Canada just dropped to 2.3%, so why does the grocery bill feel like it's gone up 10%? Gas prices dropped really hard compared to last year, and that's what pulled the overall inflation to 2.3%, so on paper, inflation looks under control. But groceries are up around 6 to 7%. Coffee, big time. Beef is gone through the roof. Fresh produce is still rising. So even though the overall inflation is 2.3%, your grocery cart says otherwise. And here's why it feels worse. Even though gas might be cheaper, but most people don't need to fill up every day, but you do need to buy food every single day. So Canada now has the highest food inflation in the G7, higher than the US, higher than Germany, and higher than France. So what does that mean? It means that inflation number looks good, but the part that actually affects your life is still very expensive. Until food prices come down, it won't feel like we're back to normal. The headline inflation is 2.3%, but real life, just check your grocery receipt.
Specifically the food inflation, which everyone's feeling, like the 7.3. But what's bigger? I looked up beef last year. Beef went up about 16%, and it's projected to go up another 5 to 7% this year.
Yeah.
So that'll be 20% over. If that happens, that's 20, which is very likely.
The fact that we have to talk about prices like this is just so ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, look, the reality is anyone that won't admit right now that the Canadian economy is broken, like they have their blinders on.
Almost the entire Western world. But
yeah,
Canada's actually probably at the bottom of the list.
Right now, in specific areas, like food inflation, we're at the bottom of the list, like the top, because we're the highest. But our economy's struggling along. But a lot of people fail to admit that, or they don't see it. So everything's okay to them.
Well, because they just blame Trump. A lot of people I speak to anyway, they're like, oh, well, it's really not our fault. It's because of Trump. And I'll often just say, I don't really care. Let's just talk about Canada. And I guess the argument to that is, well, we can't really do much because the Americans have so much power that if Canada wants to build an oil refinery, for example, or wants to do something really productive, the U.S. can kind of flex some muscle in a whole bunch of different ways and slow us down from making those decisions. That's what's countered to me when I say,
you're right, but
let's focus on Canada.
Yeah, and that drives me up the wall too, because
there is some validity to that.
No, but what I don't like about it is it just turns this argument into a political argument right away.
Yeah, like instead of just focusing on what we can do as a country.
Yeah, and this is what no one talks about, because immediately it becomes no, hold on, red versus blue, Canada versus Trump.
It's a great distraction.
It's the biggest level of bullshit.
The system's broken at the base level, so like you can't even fix it. It doesn't matter who's in power. Like the bottom line is you need more debt to pay for the previous debt. Everything gets inflated higher.
Remember when you used to be able to get like 12 juice boxes for like $1.99? Apple juice, Minute Maid apple juice. 8 for $4.24. Crazy.
Well, guys, the most recent Canadian food inflation report is out, and it is not good. As you can see from the food professor, food inflation hits a staggering 7.3% in January. Now, this 7.3% includes food purchased from stores and from restaurants. So it's a weighted statistic. Keep that in mind. When you also factor in the GST holiday, the actual food inflation is at 6.3. It is still the highest among G7 countries. Not good. When you look at individual province rates, this is just food purchased from stores. You can see Saskatchewan and Manitoba are getting hammered. Now, I am from Manitoba. I experience food inflation and the rising cost of groceries every single time I go to the store. Now, this affects all Canadians to different degrees, but let me know what your experience has been with the cost of groceries. Have you noticed an extreme increase? Because I know I have. Now, cost of living, being able to afford food is something that affects every Canadian, like I mentioned. We have 1 in 4 Canadians that are considered food insecure. We have 2.2 million Canadians lining up at food banks monthly. And yet, we have insane food inflation. And what is our government doing about it? This should be the number one concern for the government right now, is fixing food inflation, fixing unemployment, fixing the cost of living crisis that Canadians are facing. And yet, what are they doing? I don't know. Let me know down below if you've experienced this food inflation in your own life. I'd love to hear your own experience.
I'm just coming out of the grocery store.
I went to go pick up a few items that I need for the next 2 days for my meal prep and whatnot, in like a small bag, not even like a large bag of groceries, okay? It's not even full, okay? And for that, I literally, which is gonna last me, by the way, for 2 days, I literally spent $109.78, and that's with like discounts, literally, and with discounts, $109. Can you see that? Probably not, whatever, but what the hell? $109, and I also didn't purchase any meat at the moment. $109. Unbelievable. Literally unbelievable. I can't believe it.
Do you remember when Mark Carney was trying to get elected and he promised Canadians that he was going to lower food costs? He said, "Judge me by the grocery store prices." According to Statistics Canada, food prices have risen by 7.3%, the highest in the G7. If this is Mark Carney doing a great job, I'd hate to see him do a bad job.
Here's what makes the situation different from past price increases. This isn't just temporary spikes. When food inflation sits at 7.3%, it compounds. That means the higher prices don't just hurt once, they become the new baseline. And when food prices rise faster than wages, households lose purchasing power, quietly, gradually, but significantly. Now, there are real economic factors at play: global supply chain volatility, energy costs, climate impacts on crops, transportation expenses, currency fluctuations. But here's where Canadians get frustrated. If inflation is global, why does it feel worse here? Why are we near the top among G7 nations when it comes to food price increases? Are grocery chains protecting margins? Is competition limited? Are regulatory systems too slow to respond? Those are fair questions. Because when essentials like food start feeling like financial stress triggers, it changes behavior. People stop eating out. They downgrade quality. They buy less fresh food. They stretch meals further. And that has long-term consequences. Food isn't optional. It's not a subscription you can cancel. It's not entertainment you can cut. It's survival. When families start feeling anxiety just walking into a grocery store, that's not normal. That's systemic pressure. And here's the deeper issue. If wages don't rise in proportion to living costs, the middle class shrinks. Savings disappear, emergency funds vanish, credit card balances grow. That's how financial stress spreads across an economy. Canadians aren't asking for luxury. They're asking to buy groceries without doing mental math the entire time. They're asking for stability. Food inflation isn't just a statistic. It's stress at the checkout line. It's parents adjusting portions. It's households cutting back on healthier options because processed food is cheaper. And when one of the wealthiest countries in the G7 can't stabilize something as basic as food affordability, people start asking serious questions. So where does this go from here? Will prices stabilize? Will wages catch up? Will competition increase? Or is this the new normal? Now, I want to hear from you. How much has your grocery bill increased this year? Have you changed what you buy? Drop your experience below. And if you want honest conversations about what's happening to everyday Canadians in 2026, subscribe. Because this isn't just inflation, it's pressure. And Canadians deserve better than constantly falling behind.